All right. Good morning. Good morning. Great morning. Let me just check to make sure we're all good. Test. Good on Facebook. Facebook, what's happening? What's happening, Facebook? See what we're doing today. Faith-based Friday. Faith-based Friday. Third week in a row. Doing this, making sure we staying prayed up, staying in our walk of faith, understanding the importance of having a walk of faith, excuse me. And I do them on Fridays because pastor's message can be lost by the time we get to Friday. So LinkedIn, what's happening? LinkedIn, what's happening? And walk of faith, understanding the importance of having a walk of faith, excuse me. I do them on Fridays because pastor's message can be lost by the time we get to Friday. So LinkedIn, what's happening? LinkedIn, what's happening? And YouTube. LinkedIn, we're good. YouTube, let me say something real quick. Let's make sure we're good. I'll be up in a second. Let me just check I'm good on all the platforms. If you want to know the perfect time to do so, then watch this video. Before you decide to put your home on the market, do yourself a favor. Perfect time to do so. Check, testing. All right, bet. All right, we here. Good morning, folks. Let me just introduce myself real quick to any of you newcomers, anybody that's new to my world. My name is As One Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, soon to be 6-time published author and educator. And what we do over here in the Move Swiftly world is we take the lessons that the game of football teaches in regards to teamwork, and we align them in business owners. So they align them with businesses and business owners. So they have a staff, an organization, a unit, a group of employees that are moving as cohesively, as efficiently, as eager as a championship high school or youth level football team. That's what we do over here in a nutshell, and we do it every single day with the framework that I created called the Move Swiftly framework. It's a Move Swiftly framework. If you're interested in that, again, I'll give you some places to go in a second to go there. All right, now, as far as today, as I've been doing for the past 3 weeks, this is my third week in a row doing it. I do what I call Faith-Based Friday, where I will kind of recap pastor's message that I took, and I go to church every Sunday. Whether I go to church every Sunday, I do make sure I make time to listen to that message every Sunday, and I re-emphasize it on the Fridays mornings that I do my live streams, because it is so important that you develop that walk of faith. So that's what we'll be doing today. We'll keep the show around 30 minutes long, just so that way, we have a nice quick recap. And, I do this every single day from Monday through Friday. And I also do the Stay Hired Sunday. So I'm on the live streams 6 days out of the week, do it virtually every day. And then I do a video every single morning as well. So I'm very I'm frequently on the internet, and it's not going to be very hard to find material on me. So before we get into all that, let me just get through a few announcements really quick. Again, speaking of church, I am a group leader at Life Church, that church I mentioned. It's called, if you're interested in free boxing lessons, that's what I do as a group leader through the Life Church. Through being a group leader at Life Church. If you're interested in that, we do them every 2 weeks. Just hit that QR code that you see right there on the screen. Next thing, business owners. So if you have not yet, you can currently go to freeguide.makeitmove.com and get you a book. It's a free workbook on, it's not, I want to call it a book, but it's basically what I did is I created 10 steps towards using 10 things that you could be using right now in this current moment to make it so your team moves in a more efficient manner. And those, again, free guides. And that's something that just kind of gets the ball rolling. If you're interested in that, just be sure to hit the freeguide.makeitmove.com. Let me know that you would like one, and one will be sent over to you immediately. And finally, to dive deeper and deeper into all of the work I'm doing, just make sure you tap into the Patreon link. We have something for everybody, regardless of where you are financially, regular season, preseason, regular season, and postseason. We have all of that in store. And what we do is we've created a community in which everyone is holding themselves accountable and making it so we are staying on point in regards to how we build out our teams in the business world. All right, Faith-Based Friday. Faith-Based Friday. One of the things that I took away from Pastor Groeschel, he's the pastor. He's the pastor at Life Church, and one of the things that I think he does an unbelievable job of, one of the greatest. I mean, as a public speaker myself, as a person that again talks regularly, is always here, always on the internet, giving some advice and, making sure I'm constantly develop my public speaking skills and how to develop as a public speaker. The thing that he does so incredibly well is he starts every single one of his sermons starts with a story, a great story that leads all of us as listeners and viewers. It leads us into the message. It leads us into the message that we're going to be receiving that day. And the story, I'm going to let the story play. I'm going to let the story play in a second here. And I want you to be thinking about, being, the big message that was taken away. And right now we're actually in this series called Christian-ish, where he's talking about people who are not, who are kind of on the fence. They're saying they're Christians, but they're not doing God's work. They're not doing things as if they are Christians. And he speaks on the importance of being the root, being the kind of the person that is able to show based on their actions that they are a believer and they do have a level of walk. They do walk with God, and they do their part in regards to making sure that, God is something that they're not shy about, and they're constantly telling everybody that they know. So what I'll do is I'll make sure I'll play the opening of the speech, and then I'm going to get into at least what my takeaway was from it as we go out into this new world. We figure out, especially this weekend. I mean, speaking for myself personally, I've had definitely some run-ins here. I teach at this school named Center for Creative Education, and I've had some run-ins here with several teachers. I'm one of the few male teachers that you will meet, especially at this age, especially at this level, where I'm constantly going to be looked at like I'm different as it is, which is not something I'm not unfamiliar with that feeling, having a name like As One Crookshank, but because of my uniqueness, I got to do what I have to do to make sure that I'm becoming a root. I'm not becoming one of those people that is just constantly complaining. So let Pastor Groeschel cook for a little bit in that first story, and then we're going to get into some of the other stuff. So there it is.
One year, Amy decided that she really wanted some fruit trees at our house. And so she said, "Sweetheart, could we plant some fruit trees?" What do you think that I said? You think I said, "Silly woman, we can't even keep fern plants alive. Think we're ready for an orchard?" Think I said that? Of course I didn't say that. Why? Because I enjoy being married. And because I'm not that dumb. I love Amy, and one of my life goals is, genuinely, if there's something that she wants and I'm able to help provide that, I want to do everything I can to bless her, because she is my best friend and wife of 33 years. And so she wanted fruit trees, and we actually planted for...
All right, real quick, and I'm going to let him go, but I want to make sure I pause in there, because it's important that when you're developing as a public speaker, it's important that you get what you're saying out in a very unique way. So in that sentence, we are right now, it is not even a minute in, and we know he's been married for 37 years. We know that his goal is to please his wife. We know he's a family man and all that. He's able to get certain things out that an audience would, when he's kind of qualifying himself within the story that he's telling, right? That's what professional and self-development can do for you. It can make it so you have you give the audience some of the things that they need. Let's just pretend that this was the first time somebody has ever heard him speak. Only 1 minute into his speech, they would have known that he's been married for a very long time and that he cares about his wife, and he's doing it in an entertaining way in which he's drawing listeners to him. This isn't, I'm not giving you public speaking lessons here today. This isn't going to be a whole public speaking lesson, but I wanted to make sure I made that point as you guys develop your walk of faith and think about how are some of the ways in which I can continuously interweave my story and what I'm all about in a message that I'm giving to people.
Fruit trees. 3 of them died.
And then he makes you laugh, right? The humor. The humor.
How's that look? Does it look good? It's the middle of winter. That looks not horrible, but it actually looks like that in the middle of summer as well. It's pretty bad. That is our only surviving peach tree. Over the lifespan of that tree, it produced 3 peaches. 3. And by peaches, I mean tiny rock hard golf balls that even squirrels wouldn't touch. I'll show you this. See, you can't even see it right there. Just put a circle around that thing for me right there. That looks like an alien peach, and that is the best that tree could do. I think we spent more money on those 4, 3 of them dead, now 1 remaining limp along peach tree, spent more money on those 4 trees than we would have spent on a lifetime of peaches for all of you at the grocery store if we just done it the normal way. And it got me to thinking that tree that doesn't really produce fruit is a lot like a lot of people that call themselves Christians. We're in a message series called Christian-ish.
You see how we did that? You see the transition? That tree, listen, and it takes, and you gotta, this is where the practice comes in. All right, this is where the practice comes in. This is 2 minutes in. 2 minutes in, he was able to give a entertaining story, a relatable story, something that made people laugh, drew people into his world, qualify himself in terms of how long he's been married, qualify himself in terms of, who his wife is and what he does for his wife, all sorts of things. And I may not get to it, but towards the end of it, he actually talked about some dance lessons that him and his wife had, and how that was also a great experience because it took just a little move like this, a little move like that to make it so the dance floor opened up and all sorts of things. I might have time to play it at the end, but the point of it is, as you are attempting, and again, primarily the folks that tune into my work are current business owners, or they're striving to be business owners, or they're leaders in some way, shape, form, or fashion, whether it's through the form of being a parent, whether it's through the form of being a coach, whether it's through the form of being a teacher, whatever it is, you are leading people in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And when you do that, you have got to make sure you are constantly reinforcing the message as to why someone should be listening to you. You got to be constantly interweaving that within your communication. Now, as far as how Pastor Groeschel did it, he did it and he does it every single week. He does it every single week. I have sat and listened to this man preach and preach and preach. And but the great thing about his church is there are actual times in which he'll let somebody else deliver the sermon for that particular Sunday, and he does a great job in making it so certain people aren't. If, let's say, there was a time where you may get tired of his voice, there's other people that come in and speak, or there'll be times where the actual campus pastor speaks at the church and all that kind of stuff, right? So what he said in regards to, there's still some people who are Christian-ish. They're not producing a fruit. There are. I'm gonna let it play on a little bit because I want to make sure we get. To the transition in which, this is it. So he talks a lot about. Let it go.
Seen it. A lot of you genuinely like this. Some of you, you know somebody, stand up, like people know you, and they see that you're full of love and you're full of joy and you're full of peace, and people want to be around you. And
Hold on, let me go back.
On to tell us that someone will actually know that you are committed to Jesus by the fruit that you show. Here's what he said in Matthew 7. He said, you will know them, you'll know the Christians by their fruits. Even so, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. Jesus gives us this really powerful and personal metaphor. He says, you are like a tree, and a tree produces fruit. And that's how a non-believing world will know that you belong to Jesus, because they'll see the spiritual fruit come out of your life. Not just the words you say, but the way you live. In other words, they won't just know you by what you say, but by how you live. It's
how you live, all right? Not just by what you say, but how you live, all right? And it might play, again, I strongly recommend you guys go and listen to the whole thing yourself. But he speaks on that. He speaks on the kind of general way in which we bring up Jesus. You know, you go ask somebody how you doing. I'm blessed by God. You know, I'm good, praise God, all that sorts of things. We recently just had 2 award shows where, you know, every time somebody gets an award, and I'm not here to judge the people who are getting an award, but 99% of them, most of the time, probably higher than 99% of them always thank who? Got to thank Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. I got to thank God for, you know, this award, because without him, none of these things are possible. So it's easy to say these things, but it's how you live and that's going to determine what kind of fruit you actually bear. This is an important distinction that he's making here. And the reason I'm pausing it here is because in a second, he's going to put up a slideshow. He's going to put up some questions, some talking points in terms of how we can test ourselves and ask ourselves, based on how we live in, are we actually bearing fruit? Are we actually putting positivity out into the world? Are we actually putting actual real positive things out into the world? Or are we just a person that has those like little peach things, those little like knobs or whatever it is you want to call them, those little rots that he showed at the beginning? Or are we producing actual fruit based on how we live?
That we claim Jesus, but the fruits of the Spirit display Jesus every single day. And many of you, you've seen it. A lot of you, you genuinely like this. Some of you, you know somebody, Shannon, like people know you, and they see that you're full of love and you're full of joy and you're full of peace, and people want to be around you. It's not that you're perfect, but they know that you care about them, and you obviously care about other people. And some of you are like that. There's just something coming out of you that other people are like, I want to be around that. You live like Christ, and you love like Christ, and you make a difference like Christ, and you care like Christ. And the way that you live demonstrates your commitment to Jesus, and they see the fruits of the Spirit. There's some of you that are like that. Then there are others who call themselves Christians, and they may be even able to quote a lot of the Bible.
Here it is, yeah.
And they may have Bible knowledge.
Yes, this is what I was saying.
But they lack integrity.
Come on.
They'll say one thing.
Come on.
And they'll do another.
Tell them, for the people in the back.
Yeah, I'm a Christian. But a lot of times they're rude or harsh.
For the people in the back.
Selfish.
Tell them in the back. For the people in the back.
The message for me to ask you this.
For the people in the back.
When others look at you,
what do they see?
What do they see?
What do they see?
Is it
I started talking
by
about
the
this.
Fruit of your life.
Yes.
The way you treat people, the way you carry yourself.
That's a big. The way you carry yourself is an absolutely huge one. It goes unnoticed. All right, it goes unnoticed. Let me make sure I pause there. The way you carry yourself, it is something that you would not realize. But the way when people are watching you, all right, when you are in your natural state of being and how you conduct yourself is a bigger deal than you would ever imagine. I'll never forget this, because this is back when let me pull out the because I have it right here. It was this version of As One. All right. It was this version of As One Crookshank. This guy. Look at that dude, man. The years fly by. But it was that version of As One that got into a huge debate with a great friend of mine. He was one of my best friends on the team. Shout out to Chris Fenelon, who actually just took the strength coach job at Bowling Green, the head strength coach here at Bowling Green University for their football program. I gotta reach out to him and Coach Tuch, and I'll actually be touching on that next week on the Wintrepreneur episode. But me and Fen had a huge debate going on about who had the most swag on the team. And when we say swag, we're talking about how you actually looked on the football field. We weren't talking about who was the actual better player and all that kind of stuff. Those were different conversations. But who just looked better, who just had better looking pads and was like looking like some men. He had brought up, even in the debate, and this isn't me tooting my own horn or anything like that, but it was one of the things that he brought up during the debate where he goes, man, Crunk, the way you carry yourself, okay, now you might have a debate, because he was on the side, he had the most swag, I had the most swag. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, just to show you guys how real this actually is, let me pull this up really quick. It actually, yep, it is still here. Let me pull it up. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull it up. Yep, it's still here. So you see that? Yeah. Boy, 2010 is right here. 2010, if you can notice that. 2010, more swag. I was wearing number 40. He's number 11. More swag, 40 or 11. More swag, 40 or 11. Right. So that was a huge debate back then. So, and I bring that up because it was then where I realized the way I was carrying myself was something that was noticeable. So when he says how you carry yourself, that's a huge point as well, that a lot of people don't really understand or goes unnoticed, that based on how you're carrying yourself, that stuff says a lot about your character, and it says a lot about the kinds of network and the kinds of people that are going to be coming into your life.
That you are a follower of Jesus? Do they see that you're loving and that you're patient and that you're kind and that you're full of joy? Or do they see fruit like that little peach thing on the tree?
Yep, you see?
You call yourself a Christian, but you really aren't very caring. And you don't really have a whole lot of time for people. And you might be inconsiderate at times and unkind.
Yep.
Galatians chapter 5, and you can read about this in Galatians 5, it lists for us 9 fruits of the Spirit. I have 7 grandkids, which they are fruits of the loving Spirit in our house. 3 of them, they're memorizing the fruits of the Spirit right now. It's pretty kind of cute to hear them say it. But what are the fruits of the Spirit? If you know it, you can just say it aloud. If you can memorize it. The fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. These are the fruits of the Spirit. There's also fruits of something else that is not the Spirit, but it's the flesh. If you don't know, the Apostle Paul talks about all of the time we're basically living from one of 2 things. If you're a follower of Jesus, what happens? Your spirit is born anew. Your spirit is connected to God. The problem is our spirit is in constant war against our flesh. And when Paul calls it the flesh, he's not talking about your skin. The Greek word is sarx. It means your not spiritual nature. It means your fleshly nature. Your flesh wants to do what's selfish. Your spirit wants to find that you're more patient with people when things don't go your way. Or do you find, and then
all right, this is the list I wanted to go over with you guys. So how do you know as you go about your day to day, how do you know? Let me make sure. Because there was that point, and then so I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this, and then I'm going to talk about how being the branch actually works. So as we get into, and I know I'm running short on time because I want to keep this message within the 30 minute mark. So here it is in a kind of in a short and sweet way, or the shorter version, the condensed version of what it is we're talking about here when we're discussing things, especially on today, like Faith-Based Friday, right? How you know you are living and producing fruit. All right. When you're producing fruit, when you're putting positivity out into the world, when the things that you are touching are going to grow like the peaches and the fruit that he mentioned. Are you loving, joyful, peaceful, patient, kind, faithful, and gentle? Or are you selfish, frustrated, anxious, impatient, uncaring, bad, disloyal, and harsh? Now, speaking from my perspective, and I'm sure I'm speaking for several of you guys that are listening, when you look at this list, right, when you look at selfish, frustrated, anxious, impatient, uncaring, bad, disloyal, in many ways, these describe the way our job makes us feel, right? Other people make us this way, right? If it's a selfish thing, it's because something ain't happening with the work environment, a job, or a family member. Somebody else is making it so you have this mentality. Get frustrated. Most likely you're frustrated because of something another person did, or because of what you're getting paid or something. You're anxious because you don't know what tomorrow brings. You don't know if you're going to have enough money to do this or do that, if you're making enough money today, because tomorrow is very unpredictable. You're impatient. You want to know if you got the job or you didn't get the job. You want to know if what the baby's going to do. You want to know what the kids are going to do. You don't know what you want to know. All of this stuff happens because of the things that we have to do to be a part of this world, to be a productive member of society. You're uncaring about the way somebody else may feel because you want your answer. Bad, disloyal, harsh. All of these things, fruit of the flesh, are things that we have become so accustomed to being okay with that when it comes to loving, joyful, peaceful, patient, kind, good, faithful, gentle, these are traits that get shoved under the rug. These are traits that not a lot of people have a lot of respect for or have time for. So you have to be very intentional. All right, folks, very, very intentional about what you are giving your time to. You have to be very intentional and make sure you're asking yourself, is this thing that I'm going to have to do today, throughout my day, is it going to lead to fruits of the Spirit? Is it going to lead? Is there some way throughout my day, some way, shape, form, or fashion, in some essence, in some element throughout my day, that I can provide these character traits and not have these character traits? I've been there. I'm again, living proof example. It's something I've actually lived through every single day. I'm one of the few males, right? I'm one of the few males that work in an industry that's dominated by females. I do it, and I have to do it because of the love I have for the work I do, the love I have for educating young people, the love I have to be that person that can be different. The fact that I embrace what makes me different. I embrace being the unicorn. I embrace these things. And that's what gives me the spirit of loving, joyful, peaceful, patient, kind, good, faithful. However, when I have these feelings, and I'm just, again, speaking from experience, when I have these feelings of frustration, being anxious, impatient, and selfish, it's when I let other people get to me. I let other people who are in a situation where they're in their comfort zone and they're around folks that they can click up and kind of be buddy with. I let those folks get to me. That's when I experience fruit of the flesh. And I have to be very intentional about moving towards being a fruit of the Spirit. All right. Now, let me just get to this last point where he speaks on, and I mentioned this earlier, he speaks on the importance of being the branch, because what I just described to you is about actually producing fruit. What I'm saying is a lot easier said than done. It's so much easier to go on the right? It's so much easier to go in the fruit of the flesh, but being the fruit of the Spirit, there's an intentional way you have to live. I'll let him go.
And I've got to produce spiritual fruit, which is really, really hard because I've got kids. They drive me crazy. I've got it. And Jesus is showing us this. He's showing us, don't focus on production, focus on connection.
Hallelujah.
Connected to the vine. If you stay connected,
yes,
you will bear fruit.
Come on, man. Come on.
Pastor Nick, he's so funny, man. Wear this Methodist robe. He had this big old robe. And he say, have you ever seen a tree trying to produce fruit. And then he'd put his arms out like this, and he would go.
His part's the best.
What are you doing? I'm trying to produce fruit. No, you don't. The branches just stay connected to the tree.
Mm-hmm. The roots,
they produce fruit.
Yeah.
Jesus is the vine. You are the branch.
Mm-hmm.
What's your assignment? Be the branch.
Come on.
Be the branch. Stay connected to Jesus. Abide in him. Now.
That's it. Be the branch. Right there, we're gonna cut it right there. Just be the branch. And that point that he made about focusing more so on the connection, right? Focus on the connection that you make. Focus on the network that you build. Focus on the people that are around you, as opposed to trying to go and bear fruit on your own. Just simply connect yourself to the right things, and Jesus will continue to be that vine for you. And as you are continue to stay steadfast, as you continue to stick to your principles, as you continue to stick to the positive things, if you continue to be that branch, you'll start to see beautiful, beautiful fruit being bared within you and what's around you and everything that you touch and everything that you're building. All right. So that's today's show. Again, every single Friday, we just touch on, we keep it all about developing our walk of faith, because it is important. We have a lot of stuff to get to next week. All right, we got a Super Bowl, we got Valentine's Day coming up, we got NFL honors that happened this past week, so last night. Got a lot of that stuff to get to of the world that I'm going to address because of the work I do. But today is always exclusive about developing your walk of faith in whatever your issues and whatever your obstacles are, your challenges are, whatever things are going on in your life that you need help in walking through. We reserve those days for Friday, and it's every day. You need to be sprinkling these concepts and these messages. You need to sprinkle in parts of that throughout just day, every single day. So let me just drop the mic here, because I'm gonna start preaching again. You go get past that, so it might come out on you again. But so I'll cut it there. Again, main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work. It's makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYamove.com. Make sure you tap in with me on the Patreon link. That's patreon.com/as144. One-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker. Check it out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.